graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Give him one of those McRibs that we have left over from that big fucking wave, huh? The McRib wave. That was a great idea. Yeah. I like how McDonald's uses as guinea pigs. Hey, let's see if they'll eat shit on fucking bread, huh? The McShit sandwich. Hey, we'll try that in a few markets down south and we'll see if it'll work.
That makes sense. Look, this year has been an absolute parade of misery. In January alone, Australia was being ravaged by wildfires, Kobe Bryant died, and for a few days it really seemed like America was about to go to war with Iran. That was all this year, and that was before the coronavirus exploded and everything got even worse. Mass unemployment, evictions, that video of those celebrities singing Imagine, it was really terrible. On top of which this year saw the deaths of Chadwick Boseman, John Lewis, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, plus the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, for fuck's sake, 2020 made me learn who Carol Baskin is. It made me set up a Google alert for Carol Baskin so I'd immediately know if she was ever convicted for that thing we're all pretty sure she did. This year ruined lives, jobs, concerts, and sanity. It also brought a new wave of wrenching videos of police brutality that brought on a national reckoning with race and a ferocious and depressing backlash. And sure, the presidential election ended well, but it was grim to live through. And Trump won't actually leave office till next January. 2020 was absolutely terrible. And I really hope next year is going to be better. But the truth is, what happens next is up to all of us. It's going to depend on how willing we are to fight, how well we learn from what's happened, and how much we are able to care about each other. So I don't know what happens next, but I do know what happens now.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año de felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año de felicidad.
Stay the fuck at home.
Your podcast will fail.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Hello, and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And my girlfriend is a Jedi. My girlfriend is a Jedi. I know a lot of people don't like it when I brag, but like I've noticed sometimes when I show people my interviews from Comic-Con and stuff like that, like some people are genuinely happy for me, and then I know there's people like Chris, just shut the fuck up. Nobody cares that you got to meet celebrity for a couple minutes because they're promoting something. But if you've ever, if anyone has ever seen my Rosario Dawson interview,
Oh, God. We're going to go on about this.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up in the same neighborhood. We hung out in the same places. I'm pretty sure our paths have probably crossed at some point or another.
I'm shaking my head at you right now, I swear to God.
She was probably like a cute girl that there's tons of cute girls that I grew up with that I sort of just, kicked rocks around because, I didn't have the balls to even try to, kick it to her. But, she played it up, when we had our interview and stuff like that. And, she's a hometown girl and she's a fucking Jedi. It's canon. It's, Mandalorian on Disney Plus, one of the greatest shows. And let me tell you, I gotta say, when that show The Boys came to Amazon and it was season 2 or whatever, season 2, and people were all complaining that it didn't come all out at once. And people have gotten so fucking spoiled nowadays with shows. They've gotten so spoiled. I don't like binging a show. If there's a show, even the shows that I love, the shows that I love, I watch one episode a day. Because if you like a show, you know what it is when you binge watch a show, you watch a show and you like, after like the third or fourth hour, it doesn't feel special anymore. You know, if you spread it out, you know.
Well, I mean, you've seen like, do you know the YouTube? His name is Chris Stuckman.
No, I'm not familiar.
So he does some movies. He's done a couple Toonami movies as well.
Okay.
He's like reviews of Toonami and his love for Dragon Ball and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He said today how like during the pandemic, and he was talking about HBO Max, and we're going to talk about that obviously a little bit later. Yeah, I'll go off. So he was talking about how he can't really enjoy a movie now because, you know, you don't want to just like binge, like it's not memorable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like going to the theater, you have a memorable experience.
Yeah, it was an event, and you remember like the time of night, or if you go a little early, and maybe even how you were dressed, who you went with. But yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
No. That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah, you get like when you watch movies at home. You know, and don't be wrong. You know, there obviously the many conveniences of watching a movie, but you know, well, I would say people who go to the movies don't pull out their phones every 3 fucking seconds. But apparently that still happens very much so whenever I go to the fucking theaters. I always get the fucking, I always get these fucking Gen Z post millennials who fucking can't go 30 seconds without fucking staring at another screen, and they pull out their phones every 2 seconds. But like when you're at home and there's a movie on, if things get there's a break in the action or something like that, you'll check your phone. Some people will be right in front of their computer, or they have their iPad or their phone right in their hand as they're watching a movie. I'm one of the few assholes that when I go to the movie theater, I actually put my fucking phone in my pocket and leave it there unless I feel it's an emergency. If it rings, I'll pull it out and try to check it. And even then, I'll fucking like hunch over, break my fucking back hunching over to make sure that the light doesn't bother anybody else. It's not special.
If you've noticed, is like even Netflix is testing like linear channel or network channel kind of thing over in France to see how it goes, because not everybody wants to watch a series in order. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like not, you know what I mean? They don't want to binge.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is that like when you're watching a show, and even like, and that's there's these like. One of the things about watching a show that like you really like is that it feels so special and you're giving it all your attention, and you can't, I guess maybe our brains have been trained for like movies and stuff like that. Like after 2 hours, 3 hours, that's like whenever you hear about a movie being 3 hours long, or God forbid a movie that's 4 hours long, or, where you hear a movie, the movie's 2.5 hours long or 3 hours long, it blows our minds. Cause like you can really get people to pay attention that long, to a movie.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with like with the shows. I mean, of course, yeah, there's tons of shit that you could put on in the background and just have it be background noise. You know what I'm saying? There's tons of, you throw on your Netflix and put on anything and then let it be background noise. But, a show like The Mandalorian, I'm so glad that they have its weekly episodes, and there's so much revelations each episode. And now, mind you, to our fans, we haven't put out an episode in a month. Unfortunately, this is the new regime of the show. We're going to put out an episode as much as we can. Life in lockdown with my kid up my ass. I don't have the time. I don't get the time to myself like I used to. My daughter is a little needy after her mother passed. I'm in lockdown myself, which is expected, and it's totally understandable and stuff like that. Plus, and not that I don't want to do my podcast. You shouldn't do a show if you can't do it in front of your kid or whatever. But it's also, it would interrupt my flow, and maybe we'll get to a point where I can record while she's at home and stuff like that. But my daughter, she's either gonna make a lot of fucking noise, and the podcast is gonna be like me talking with like a TikToks playing in the fucking background that everyone's going to hear, or, and every 2 seconds me telling Paul, hold on. Because trust me, I ain't editing that shit out. It's going to be me every 5 minutes telling Paul, hold on.
Yeah, that gets really
annoying. I can't properly record, and fans, long-term fans of the show, remember her older brother, who's like 17 now, he was 5 or 6 when I first started this podcast, and he would come and talk, he'd come in the background, and so, we have to do, we kind of have to move our schedules, or we can make the planets align, and my daughter's not home, so I can record where I can record comfortably. I don't want to fucking be up here like, and there's other products, a lot of people are doing people are streaming stuff and playing games online and doing Twitch and all that other good stuff. And I don't have the luxury to do that. People who Twitch and stuff like that, do they have kids? People who do YouTube videos every day, they must have a babysitter. You can't tell a 10-year-old, oh, daddy's got to talk to a bunch of strangers right now. And, a 10-year-old's not going to understand that.
You just lock our kids over that.
Yeah, and it's also I also want to give my daughter attention. Once again, like I said, her mother just passed away. And, these are her formative years. I don't want, Chris Rock said, keep him off the pole. I don't want, your mom died and you ignored me because you were doing your podcast and now I fucking fuck strangers for money. I don't want that shit to fucking happen. So I actually have to, be a parent and, spend time with my children and pay attention to my child. I say children. I have one child, but it feels like I have to pay attention to my child and be there for my child. So, I don't have that, it's not, she's on the pole 10 years from now. Like, Dad, you did this, so, as much as I love the podcast and as much as it's been part of my life, a strong part of my life for the past 8 years, almost a couple months will be 9 years, I have to, life kind of gets in the way and you kind of have to, and trust me, I want to keep doing the podcast and I love doing the podcast, but just, life hasn't given me the convenience right now to do as much as I, do an episode as frequently as I like to. But while we're here, let's talk about how my girlfriend is a Jedi. My girlfriend is a Jedi. So, no. No, but and once again, those shows, like a show like The Mandalorian and spoilers, and it's funny because this usually would be the nerdy news, but fuck it, I'm going to put it up on top of the show. Is there's been so many revelations on the show. The baby's name. Who's affectionately been known as Baby Yoda for the past year is Grogu, which I don't know where the fuck they got that from, and it just reminds me of that, Grogu reminds me of Groot for some reason. And they're both Groot in the last movie is a teenager, or whatever his version of teenage years is. So he's not the cute little baby Groot that everyone fell in love with, but it's I am Groot, I am Grogu, I am Groot. They brought Katie Sackhoff, who was the voice from the Clone Wars cartoons. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I have not watched. I've watched the first 2 or 3 seasons of Clone Wars, and then I kind of fell off. So, all the, the lore that and a lot of people will tell you that the first couple seasons are they're all over the place. Then by the time season 4 or 5 comes along, then they start focusing on Mandalorians and the Mandalorian planet and, their relationship to the Jedi and stuff like that. And so, I haven't gotten to that stuff yet. And I'm slowly watching episodes on Disney Plus, trying to get myself caught up. And you're watching the episodes with young Ahsoka, Anakin's Padawan. And, obviously, that's not a spoiler. I mean, if she's still alive for The Mandalorian, which, for those who aren't super duper fans, Mandalorian takes place after, Return of the Jedi. It's 5 years after the Empire has been allegedly destroyed. But then again, when you watch a show like Mandalorian, it's not like all the ships just automatically stop flying. There's still motherfuckers floating around, working shit, trying to bring the Empire back and stuff like that. So you deal with a lot of those characters. So, we have, Baby Yoda's name is Grogu. They brought Katie Sackhoff's character, and once again, I'm not super familiar. I know she's like a high-ranking Mandalorian, or she's a high-ranking military officer in the Mandalorian, and they actually got Katie Sackhoff, who did the voice in the show, to actually play her. I know the hardcore fans were saying well, if you line up the years, she's supposed to be 50 or 60. Well, Mandalorians don't age that long, And speaking of Mandalorians, even though I don't think he's not officially from Mandalore. And spoiler, Boba Fett's in the fucking show. Jesus Christ, one of the most loved characters, even though, in the original 3 movies, he only says 7 lines through the whole, but, Boba Fett's one of those characters that people love, and there's a mystery behind him, and what's his story and stuff like that. And now with a show like The Mandalorian, we find out he's still alive after he's supposed to he's fallen in the Sarlacc pit, and he's all jacked up and got scars all over him, and he's sort of like a it keeps to himself, but like, if anyone who's watched this last episode, he could fucking fight, and he's got a gaffy stick, which which is what like the sand people carry, and he's fucking cracking stormtroopers so hard that he's cracking stormtroopers with the gaffy stick so hard that he's breaking fucking armor. So, he's pissed off, he's got an agenda, he's survived death, and and he's not he's still fucking is super powerful. So that's pretty cool. They're bringing back Temuera Morrison, and because I know like clones are supposed to age slower, but then again, they said when he had Boba Fett, he said make me a clone that doesn't age or doesn't that ages usual regularly. So so like when you look at Temuera Morrison, it sort of makes sense. Since it's been like 20 years since the Attack of the Clones and stuff like that. And what else do I have in my notes? Oh, and the last episode was directed by Robert Rodriguez. And if you remember, like, did you watch Are you watching the Mandalorian? I'm doing all the talking over here.
I gotta, I kind of got started with season 1 and never really finished it, so I gotta kind of go in.
Oh shit!
I mean, I have all this time and I need to do it myself, so I'm gonna go do it. But I don't know.
Well, they've introduced these characters called the Dark Troopers, and they're sort of stormtroopers but robots. So they're like a mix of the battle droids, the big battle droids from the prequel movies, along with
they were in Star Wars
and Dark Forces. Yeah. Even though I never played the game, but I mean, a lot of friends and people who've played the game, fans are bringing that up. That is from the video game. And the funny thing was, when you watch the animation, they move a little funny. And not move. Funny is probably not the right word. I mean, for a show that has as big as a budget as The Mandalorian, sometimes
did they have jeans on?
Oh yes. So there was one scene. And once again, they crank these episodes out. In a way where I guess things do get overlooked. and there's one episode where Carl Weathers and I want to say Cara Dune. Cara Dune's the name of the character, not the actress, but the woman that was in Deadpool and she's a UFC fighter, and she got in trouble for saying, like, I forgot what she said some non-politically correct shit. I forgot exactly what it was, but like there's a lot of people like, get her off the show already. But there's a scene where they're shooting in a hallway, and then you just see some dude's like arm with a wristwatch and jeans and stuff like that. So technically, I guess it's canon now. And then Star Wars, there are people who wear jeans and short sleeve T-shirts and wristwatches. It's not all robes and alien garb. No. So back to my point is the Dark Troopers. They moved a little funny. And then, like, you realize that Robert Rodriguez makes all these, like, super weird CGI movies, like Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Spy Kids. And then the funny thing is now he's doing another movie now with Pedro Pascal, the guy who plays the Mandalorian. But it's like, I want to say it's like on Apple Plus or whatever, Apple TV Plus, or whatever the fuck that, but it's one of those movies. It's in like in the same universe because it's later on where like one of the characters says, oh, my mom and dad are Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It's like it's like this superhero kids get locked in a vault, but then all the superheroes get killed. So all the kids now have to save the world, which is basically the plot of the Sky High. But that's another story. So, Robert Rodriguez but my point is, I think they had Robert Rodriguez's company do the special effects for that particular episode of The Mandalorian because the Dark Troopers walk funny. And like if you remember like all those Spy Kids, remember the one where they go to an island and there's all these like thumb people? There's like people like their heads and arms and legs all just made out of thumbs. I like those Dark Troopers look like those thumb guys, the thumb wrestlers. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I got to go back and watch it. And that's the one thing I haven't watched it yet, but then again, it only came out like 2-3 days ago. Like every episode of this season so far, I've watched at least once again, and that shows you how good a show is. Like where I have 50,000 streaming services and the internet and YouTube and stuff like that. For me to watch the same episode that I already watched again, it just shows you how good it is. And boy, we've been doing a lot of Mandalorian talk. And the episode with Ahsoka was directed by Dave Filoni, and the big time nerds will know Dave Filoni was pretty much the guy who was the showrunner for Clone Wars. And, and he had a lot, he worked on Rebels and a bunch of other things, but like, Clone Wars was his baby. Clone Wars was his, and the whole thing is that like once you watch like The Mandalorian, it makes you realize they should have given they should have given the sequel trilogy to Dave Filoni. And as much as I love J.J. Abrams, and I think J.J. Abrams tried, but or at least like had Dave Filoni and especially in the second movie, with Rian Johnson. I'll always hate Rian Johnson. I'll always hate him for killing Luke Skywalker, and The Last Jedi was such a fucking horrible movie that. And it goes to show you that those movies didn't have any plan to them. Because for Rian Johnson to just step up and take all these things that were set up in the first movie and throw them out the fucking window, proves that they never had a plan for the third movie. At least Dave Filoni, had you given the movie to Dave Filoni, he would have honored everything that, and of course, look, and Dave Filoni is having fun now because he's bringing the characters that at one point were fucking CGI in the Clone Wars, and he's bringing them to real life in The Mandalorian. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would have, I'm pretty sure had we gotten, The Last Jedi written and directed by Dave Filoni, he would have thrown Ahsoka in there. He probably would have thrown in Mandalorians from Mandalore and stuff like that. So it shows you that since once Disney bought it proves they didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and only Dave Filoni, who's from the old guard, because remember, Clone Wars existed before the Disney buyout, and when it was one of the few things they said, okay, all these books and all these video games and all this shit were thrown out the window, doesn't matter anymore, but the Clone Wars is the one of the few things that actually is still canon, along with the original at that time, the original 6 movies. So they should have given that movie, they should have given The Last Jedi to Dave Filoni, not fucking. Were you about to say something?
Well, I was going to say no offense to your girlfriend, but I still thought that they should have at least entertained the idea of having the woman that voiced Ahsoka.
Yeah, they could have, they could have. I can see, with my mind's eye, I can see how they could have used her, and they could have thrown her into makeup, and she's worn the right. She's worn the makeup before, right? I'm not going crazy, right? She's cosplayed as her own character, right? Or am I? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I imagine,
but
I imagine that.
Also, let's take into effect that she's she's probably 5'2". 98 pounds. She's a little thing, and of course, yeah, Ahsoka in the cartoon as she's a young adult. I mean, yeah, but Rosario Dawson's a fucking Amazon. What I'm saying? Even when you watch, I'm 5'8". I'm just average, and then you watch the video with her with me, fucking taller than me. And she's in shape, gorgeous. I mean, they should have done something for the actress, and I'd not say throw her a bone because that's not the right way. They should have let her do the voice or something, but then have Rosario Dawson, I don't know. Or maybe
no, I don't think.
Okay,
I don't think
there is the episode begins with where, and it's kind of a spoiler, where Ahsoka, there's these soldiers that are trying to kill Ahsoka, and she's kind of doing her Jedi shit, kind of floating and running in between trees and stuff like that, and hiding, and she's taking motherfuckers out. Don't get me wrong, but they should have gotten the girl who did the voice, maybe for those scenes while she's calling out from the forest or whatever, let that girl do the voice, or something. Then I don't know, a tree branch hits her in the throat, and now it's Rosario Dawson. Or something like that, where then you would have had both women, the original person who's played her for years, especially, and it is a burn, especially since they brought in Katie Sackhoff, but then again, Katie Sackhoff before Clone Wars was known big time for fucking Battlestar Galactica. So the girl, I forgot her name. I know the actress who played Ahsoka. She's not really known for anything. I mean, I hate to fucking be like an asshole. But I mean, okay, Pedro Pascal, the actual star of The Mandalorian, the only other movie I could remember him being in was Kingsman, and even then he had a small part in Kingsman. But Carl Weathers, people know Carl Weathers. The girl who played Cara Dune, people know her from, like I said, from Deadpool and her UFC career. They would have been putting an unknown, even though she's known for the character, she's known for being Ahsoka. I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. And they should have, honored her, all her time playing that character. Because that Clone Wars has been out for, years now?
Well, I mean, she was in Clone Wars, she was in Rebels. So it's if you're going to put her in both animated series and you were going to do a live action, you should have done that. Now, I'll give you this. Rosario, retweeting retweeting, sharing all of her stuff. Yeah. So it's not like she's not getting.
Yeah. It's not like Rosario's who the fuck is that this other bitch?
Right. But I think what they're trying to do is, and I don't know why they're trying to do this, but they're trying to, because there's this rumor that the reason that Filoni did Rosario instead of her, the voice actress, was because her and Hayden Christensen went to the same school, so they know each other. So they want to give that possibility of having those two on screen because fans want to see that.
Well, they did a movie together.
But it's just like
there's a picture of them hugging.
I know.
And
I don't remember what the movie was.
They did some project. It might not have been a movie.
No, there was a movie together, I think, and I can't remember what it is. Something I want to say, wasn't she in? There was a movie with a record store. I want to say that she was in. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, but I mean it's 11 o'clock on the dot. I can't really think of it right now. So it's been a long day. We had to install a new water heater.
Yeah.
So
well, I guess they weren't. I guess they weren't in the movie together, but they did go to the same acting school.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I apologize that I'm puffing now. And I guess to slightly change the subject. I went. COVID-19. Stay the fuck at home, people. Don't go out. Stay the fuck at home. Wear a fucking mask when you go outside. I got my flu shot because it's bad. Bad enough things are as they are. I said, let me get a flu shot, and I got it. Like we're recording this on a Tuesday. Last Tuesday, I got the flu shot. And I don't know what happened, but on Friday night into Saturday, I got a full-on, I don't want to say it was a flu, because a flu is a lot worse. A flu, it makes you want to die. And even though I did feel like I want to fucking die, like Friday or Saturday, I got a cold. I got a legit, full-on, 24-hour, I would say maybe more than 24-hour, not as much as 48, like a day and a half. I couldn't fucking move. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. And, I didn't want to get out of bed. But oddly enough, I don't think I got a flu. I think I just got a cold and knocked me on my ass. So if you hear me coughing, and I guess that happens every year. Every year around this time, I get that fucking persistent cough that just never fucking goes. But yeah, so wear your fucking mask, and I guess let's shift away from as much as my girlfriend and my beautiful and her, and then when you think about it, I also interviewed William Shatner, so I've interviewed someone from Star Wars and I've interviewed someone from Star Trek. Speaking of COVID and scratchy throats, and fucking Los Angeles has been put on official fucking lockdown. We're like everything. No.
Everything. You can't even walk. You can't even get out of your house. You literally have to stay in your house.
So, and I know New York City. It's so weird how New York City, which has tons and tons of people from around the world, and I'm pretty sure there was those issues that the guy had in Staten Island, the bar owner was a fucking asshole. It's so weird how on the East Coast, or it just feels weird that how is it that New York City can fucking maintain? I mean, the numbers are still fucking crazy, but Los Angeles, I think it's sort of this mentality there's people who just think the world revolves around them, or nothing bad's gonna happen to them.
I think it's the same thing that happened with the beaches out there, where everybody got so fucking pissed because, you're going to close my beach. So then they flooded a different beach and everybody was there without masks on. These people, I mean, it's a lot of younger people that just don't fucking care. And then they spread it to other people and, we all get fucked over because of
combination.
it.
And a lot of people, and it kills me because what happened is what really fucking triggered me the other day was I was going on Instagram and you're gonna laugh. Do you remember when they had the Black Lives Matter protest, and then there was a picture of this one really hot model, and she came out and she was wearing a model dress, and she walked out in the street, she held the sign that said Black Lives Matter, her friend took the picture, and then she kind of just walked away. She showed up to take the picture of the people in the background, and as soon as the camera was done, she walked away. And it was this very, very pretty Russian model. Now, of course, I was like, let me look this up. So I started following her on Instagram, and that chick has been after that happened, and literally sending her death threats like that, bitch, I'll die and kill you, because there were people that were saying that, and don't get me wrong, that video, and I don't want to say it was taken out of context because, I'm not going to defend her just because she's pretty, but, she's saying it was taken out of context, but I mean, it looks horrible that you're there in an elegant gown, to walk over, hold up the sign that says Black Lives Matter, have a person take a couple pictures, and then as soon as the pictures are done, you put the sign on, you walk back to the sidewalk. It looks horrible. Well, that exact same model, and I don't think this is in the United States, but it might be. I don't know. But she had posted pictures of like in a ski resort, and the ski resort just fucking, it looks like it's a ski resort, and it's not. A lot of these fucking people are posting. I hate when people post pictures from like before the lockdown, where like they're taking a show of pictures of a party, and it's like now you're infuriating me because I'm thinking you're going to a party with all these people, but it's pre-COVID shit. But like she was saying, like no, she was at a ski resort, and this was a picture that she just took or whatever, and that shit. So and the whole thing is that like I know I have friends that ski. I have friends, and on Facebook and stuff like that. They go skiing, and this is that time of the year. They go to Vermont, they go to upstate New York. They do their thing, and I'm like, skiing has got to be one of the most useless fucking it's exercise. You want to ride a bike, go jog around the fucking block. Skiing, and to me, I've always equated skiing with like that's something that rich people do. Like poor people don't ski, and even don't get me wrong, I have poor friends that do go skiing, and they are ghetto ski lodges, and there's places where people from New York City, all the lowlives of New York City will hop in their minivan and drive up to the nice places where they don't want the minorities up there. But I've always equated skiing and all that shit and snowboarding and all that other nonsense with being rich, being elitist and stuff like that. All right, sorry for the interruption, people. We're back. So I've always equated skiing with being like a rich. It's like playing golf. It's something that only rich people do, or poor people who want to be rich. They do. They think, if I go skiing, maybe I'll make some rich friends. It's totally useless. And do I feel bad for people who own ski resorts? Yeah, but then again, we'll get to it in a minute. Movie theaters are suffering, restaurant owners are suffering. You're not above the law because you have a fucking ski resort. And no,
not at all.
People are getting on ski lifts. People are cramming together in ski lodges, and it's a social thing. People go skiing to be social. So.
Well, people are just. I mean, I understand people are tired of this quote unquote lockdown, but like for example, here in Rochester, we weren't even in the first wave. We really didn't even have that many cases. And now we're doing 600 to 700 cases a day, and it's just first of all, where the hell did all that come from? Second of all, can you people stop? I mean, and it blows my mind, Chris, because here in Rochester, a lot of fucking people are good because you see everybody in masks, and you're like, I rarely now see somebody without a mask on.
Yeah.
Rare. It's so fucking rare now. But here's the problem. It's not that they're not fucking wearing masks. It's they're doing these small gatherings and not wearing masks. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll go over to my parents and I won't wear a mask, but there again, I'm not really doing anything. I'm going to tell you right now, there are probably 3 places that I go to the most. Wegmans, which Wegmans is a couple times a week. My parents' house, Lowe's, and Hope Depot. Lowe's and Hope Depot is very infrequent, but that's about it. And the only reason I go to Lowe's and Home Depot is because we're still doing stuff to this house. So, it's one of those things where I sit there and I go, okay, so you're not socializing. You're not unnecessarily socializing, and neither am I. I don't leave the house unless it's now. What's the big one? Why are we literally going through a third wave right now? Fucking Thanksgiving, and now we're in the second wave.
Thanksgiving came and. I went basically. My daughter's mother's best friend is sort of she babysits my daughter all the time and stuff like that. We went to her house, So I mean, I talk a lot of shit about social distancing, but then again, my daughter goes to that house anyway. If anybody in that house is sick, my daughter would have brought it home. She would have brought it to me a long time ago. So we went over to that house, and she was just there with her sister and her mom and stuff like that, and and this is boyfriend and the girls, the best friend's boyfriend and stuff like that. These are people that my daughter sees anyway when she goes over to that house. And, you know, in turn, who I see because, you know, I'm there, you know, so it's sort of, you know, we did keep a small social, you know, our little social bubble, you know, for Thanksgiving. But, you know, there's people that, you know, they ignore, like COVID's going to forget that it's a, you know, oh, it's a holiday. Don't worry, I'm not going to infect you. You know, so it just, you know, because I saw a thing where it was a healthcare worker saying that it's like everybody who's come in recently went to a Thanksgiving dinner. You know.
Jeez. Well, I mean, I'm very interested to see how, you know, if, for example, obviously here in Rochester we get snow. We really haven't gotten killed with snow yet, knock on wood.
2020 is not over yet, bro.
Yeah, I know. So I'm wondering if we're gonna get like just this. We're just gonna get. When we get killed with snow, I should say. I'm sorry, I'm losing it. I'm wondering if, like, all of a sudden, like, the COVID cases go way down because nobody's out because we have all this snow out. Because, dude, like, you know how Rochester is. When it's really cold and there's a lot of snow and it's windy, nobody's out doing anything anyways.
You say that. I think we're the opposite. I think since we're used to the snow, like, not that the people don't socialize, but I mean, you know, when it snows in places where people don't usually get snow, they stay the fuck home. We get snow and the city doesn't necessarily stop.
Yeah, but all the bars in that, where all the major bars and the bars and, like, I mean, I wouldn't say major restaurants because they're all pretty much the same. All the major bars and all that stuff are shut down right now because of the high COVID cases. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, that's kind of going to limit some stuff. But then you have these idiots going out and just fucking
having house parties and hanging out with their buddies and shit like that. And
yeah,
that shit irritates me.
And I don't mind, like, I understand that people want to socialize, people want to, you know, talk and whatever. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it's stupid at this point. You shouldn't be doing that kind of shit, you know? And people just need to chill the fuck out because it's not helping. You're not helping anybody, honestly.
No.
But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, we'll get through this eventually, but it's just like...
Yeah. And, you know, and I mean, I don't want to talk about politics that much. But fucking fuckhead's lawyer, America's mayor, he got the fucking COVID.
And then the lawyer that was with him got COVID.
Yeah, and so it's like, you know, Giuliani, between getting caught looking what could have been very inappropriate with the girl that he thought was 15, you know, the Borat reporter. This past week he farted in Congress, or he farted, you know, at one of those hearings, you know, hair dye melting down the side of his head.
He's a disaster.
You know, giving doing the report or doing the press conference from the Four Seasons Landscaping. You know, there was a time, you know, growing up in New York City, you know, I remember pre-Giuliani New York. I remember, you know, graffiti all over the subways. I remember, you know, Chinatown being a place where you can get fucking illegal weapons, illegal fireworks. You know, I remember, you know, I mean, I was a kid, not that I didn't give a shit about the mob, but, you know, you would, you know, even my dad would speak about guys, and, you know, and my dad worked like on the edge of Chinatown, which was also, you know, not too far from Little Italy, where, like, you know, that guy is, you know, and you do the whole thing where you push the side of your nose, like, and he's with the family, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I remember when the mob was a very real presence in New York City. I remember when Chinatown was a fucking horrific fucking hellhole where, you know, you could buy illegal weapons, illegal fireworks, probably illegal drugs. And I remember when New York was swimming in panhandlers and quality of life issues and hookers on 42nd Street. And, you know, Giuliani, you know, and don't get me wrong, it's not like we loved him, because we hated him back then also. You know, Giuliani came and cleaned up New York, Disney-fied New York City. And it's part, you know, him cleaning up New York City is why I can't fucking live there anymore. You know, I was born and raised there. I can't even afford to fucking live where I was born and raised. But, you know, and then, you know, especially with that bleeding, and once again, he wasn't loved at the time, but, you know, with his administration ending, right after 9/11, and the leadership that he showed during 9/11, and of course, we were all sort of, under that whole spell, like, oh, we're all going to be good, we're all going to take care of each other. After 9/11, you thought, we're going to fucking be holding hands in the streets like fucking Care Bears and shit. And look, this past 4 years showed exactly how fucking wrong that was, it all was. But Giuliani, let me tell you, after he retired as mayor of New York, or when he left office, he should have went and fucking hid in a fucking hole. Or you do your public speaking engagements, you say some pre-written fucking speech, you make fucking $100,000, and then you sit at home and you fucking fuck your cousin wife, and you do that a couple times a year, and you call it a life. Or second cousin wife, or whatever. Giuliani putting himself back, and it blows my mind that this is the same man, the man who got the mob out of New York City, and that was his big platform, is getting the mob out of New York City, and he fucking did it. I lived in New York when all this shit happened, and once again, I lived in downtown Manhattan. Little Italy is pretty much downtown Manhattan, and I've seen the streets of New York cleaned up. I've seen the quality of life change, and this same guy is a guy who's trying to fuck a 15-year-old, who doesn't know how to dye his hair, farting and hearings. And like I said, and Giuliani in his prime, people hated his guts, but his whole legacy is now sullied by, and once again, I'm not praising the man. I mean, what he did in the past, yes, and his leadership in New York City after 9/11 was unifying and incredibly strong, but it's like, he drank the Kool-Aid for too long.
I think what happened, I think what happened with Giuliani is, it's very simple. He wanted the limelight. He thought by doing Trump's bidding he got the limelight, but now he just looks like a crazy fuck. That's basically all it is.
And him and Trump were friends. I mean, you remember the video where, for whatever reason, he's dressed like a woman and Trump sticks his head between Rudy Giuliani's tits and stuff. The guy has a fucking screw loose, and he should have. I said, as soon as he left public office, he should have went do your speaking engagements and stay the fuck up. But I don't know.
Well, I think after he didn't win the presidential election, that's when it went fucking downhill.
But he shouldn't even. He shouldn't even done that. He should have fucking. You're America's mayor. Write a couple books, saying that do your speaking engagements.
Do what every fucking politician that has done well has done. Write some books, make some money, get famous. Yeah, maybe run for president or whatever, and then be done with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? He just needs to, after this, he just needs to be. And that's the thing, it's just crazy that we're still oh no, somebody farted the wrong way, so we need to do, speaking of farting, somebody farted the wrong way, so now we need to recount the votes. Or, that person didn't sign the ballot right, so we need to do a whole recount of all the votes. Come on. Can we stop this already? Look, Biden won. Told you my candidate would win. But it is what it is, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you. If they had run somebody else other than Biden, nobody else probably would have beat Trump.
Yeah.
And I think I think we talk about progressives and how people want to do more quote unquote progressive things. I don't, Biden isn't going to do that. And that's a good thing because people don't want to explode into these major progressive things. And we don't need to do that right now. We need to get rid of COVID first. And then we need to clean up everything that Trump did after that. And then we can start talking about, this topic.
And he's going to have an uphill battle because we still have a Republican Congress.
Right. And here's the thing. It's even AOC admitted the other day, do I want progressive people in his cabinet? Yes. But I also realize that we may have a Republican Senate here after January 5th. So why would I want him to put a bunch of progressives in and then none of these people get, confirmed? She understands it too. So, which is another topic that pisses me off is stop pushing diversity on Biden's cabinet. He has a whole fucking communication team that's female. Do we need to go any farther than that? And by the way, they're mixed. It's not just all white women. It's white, black, and Latino women.
That's the whole thing. And once again, I'm very left leaning. I I like a lot of the things that progressives say, but it's sort of like then, you get to a point and then it's like, God, stop. You know what I'm saying? I want, yes, we want things to be nice and fair and balanced. And then and it's like, just put this person in charge because they're,
it's like the stimulus that they're talking about right now. Yeah. Does it not have the $1,200 checks? No. Does it have enough funding for state and local governments? No. But here's the thing. It has $300 in it per week for people that are unemployed. We need that money. So shut the hell up, vote it, and let's get moving. It also takes away, this bill also continues federal student loans, gone for another 4 months. Rent moratorium, 4 months. So why don't we make that happen? And then when Biden's in office, we can make a bigger bill happen and send out some more checks. Yeah. Like, it's going to be simple. And by the way, Biden's going to sit there and go, what do you Republicans want? Okay, this is what you want. What do we want as a party? Okay, this is what we want. We're going to give you this for this. Like it's supposed to be. Like, Republicans are talking about liabilities and that. Fine. Fucking give them the liabilities as long as we get what we want. Like, what does it matter? Like, I get what people are bitching about, but I don't fucking care. People are hurting out there. Just give them what they want and move on. It's not like they're sitting there going, I need this money for this project in my state. No. No. So. Yeah.
So I think, we're going to be back with the nerdy news and we're going to have another lively conversation here. I just want to quick shoot through a couple things I just had here in my notes because we're never going to get to them. An Israeli retired politician says that there are aliens. And they've been in communication with Israel and the United States, and that, people in power know this, and just humans are not ready as a whole to accept that aliens, there is a galactic federation, meaning that there's more than just one other set of aliens out there, and, we just haven't been invited to the party yet. I don't know why we still haven't got our shit together. I got my McRib today. I'm so happy. I usually, I look forward to McRib. I for some reason Rochester did not get them last time. Last year we did not get any McRibs. I'm sorry. You were about to say something?
No, go ahead.
No, so, so I go to get my McRib today. I'm with my daughter, whatever. The bitch forgot my fries. Not when I say I was with my daughter. The bitch working at McDonald's forgot my fucking fries, forgot my fucking straw. I'm not going to have a whole conversation about the $15 an hour thing. But I'm just saying is that, what was supposed to be my happy celebratory McRib day, was ruined by a fucking idiot who forgot my fries and my fucking, and then and this, I went to the McRib in the fucking ghetto. I got to go to McRib in the fucking nice neighborhood because it was sort of, it didn't taste as good as I remember it. And so, I have to go to another McDonald's. I just had a bad experience, and once again, along with the other things that this fucking dummy fucked up.
Well, you saw the bad experience Darrell had.
Yeah,
so.
He had a totally undercooked burger. It was like fucking super pink onion.
Yeah, so hey, just count your blessings.
Yeah, I got him. Blessings. At least I hope I'm not. For all the Trumpers that decided they're going to leave Facebook and go to that Parler website, which was immediately hacked. Apparently, the people who wanted to run this website and wanted it to be as big as Facebook is, but for Trump people, oh, we're not going to censor you. It immediately got hacked. From what I understand, it's all just fucking porno spam and sex, because they're like, oh, you're not going to censor, so we could just put whatever we want. Okay, here's fucking a billion pages worth of fucking pornography. Don't get me wrong, I like pornography, but it's funny to see the people who went to Parler I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy my free speech, and and could you stop all this porn? So I love that those people are suffering. Belle Delphine being banned from Belle Delphine's channel was deleted from YouTube, and they got brought back because she's like. And don't get me wrong, I mean, she puts out some pretty fucking provocative video and stuff like that. And one of the more trigger warning ones was and she does put trigger warning in the beginning of the episode. And it is age protected, where if you're an account that isn't signed in, you need to sign in as an adult so you can see it. Where she's she's in her panties and bra, and she has a shotgun. She's holding a shotgun where it would be if someone's going to kill themselves with a shotgun. She's using her toe to push the trigger and blow her brains out and stuff. And once again, and that's just a provocative, and then she flips over and she brings up a very good point. If fucking Cardi B could talk about her wet ass pussy and mop in a bucket wet ass pussy, me doing this, which and I'm not going to sound it is art. It's a way of expression. She's kind of pushing the boundaries to kind of make a point about pushing boundaries. And so, YouTube smartened up and got her shit back on there. Belle Delphine is a brilliant marketer, and she knows how to play her audience and stuff like that. That was, the woman last year was selling like fucking bottles of her bath water for $35 plus shipping. She was selling Bibles for like the same Bibles you get like in a free you get for free in a hotel room, and she just signed them and she was selling them for like $50 a pop because she's autographed the Bible. So but there's people who are fucking paying it. So, good on her, especially in this fucking economy, that, you could get people to fucking buy some random shit because, she made a name for herself. I think she's cute and everything like that. But, I've watched a couple interviews with her on YouTube. She's actually very, very smart. She's attractive, she's pretty, and she's very, she's sexy and everything like that. But she knows what the fuck she's doing. And, all right. So I think with that, we'll be back with more Dick and Fart Joke.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was going to be a rough
How could you watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Victory Championship Wrestling presents Lethal Leap Year, on sale now for $9.99. Don't miss a single body slam or epic moment. Witness the showdown between Big Smooth and Johnny Slaughter for the BCW Championship. Go to bcwaction.com for exclusive events. Only found on bcwaction.com. And as an added bonus, the first 100 people to order this event will receive a free front row seat to the next event.
And we're back. All right, Paul. This is the one I know you were fucking gearing up for. This was even before we started, even before I contacted you to ask if we could record tonight. I know Paul's going to want to talk about this. I've seen his social media. And let's talk about Warner Brothers and their decision to release, if I'm not mistaken,
So who wants to info that?
21 movies, pretty much the movies that they were planning to put out like this past year, and all the movies that were pushed back for release next year are all going to HBO Max. And it's a bold move, because right now, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, not to be an asshole, but, right now, we still don't know where the world is fucking going. There's still fucking idiots out there who have their heads up their ass, don't realize that we're in the middle of a fucking global pandemic and that 200,000 people have died. And so they said, you know what? These movies are just going to be sitting in a vault, devaluing every day. And you know, like, as much hype, you know, they put a lot of money into advertising a movie like Wonder Woman. We were seeing trailers for that. Like, I think the other day I reposted Black Widow. But I'm saying is, you know, I walk right now as I go, you know, food shopping, and I look, you know, there's Wonder Woman dolls that are being sold for Christmas that were supposed to be sold in conjunction with the release of the movie. You know, millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's not like when they made these movies, they're like, haha, we're gonna fuck the movie. They're gonna fuck the movie theater system, and we're gonna put these all on streaming the day they come out. You know, Warner Brothers trying to stay afloat, stay relevant, and of course drive traffic to their streaming site. You know, because nowadays everybody with fucking one fucking IP, now everybody needs a fucking streaming site. You know, in a bold and, dare I say, brilliant move to put out these movies, because, you know, when it comes to Warner Brothers, look, I'm a DC fanboy, and as much as people shit on fucking you know, Batman v Superman and Justice League and stuff like that, you know, Wonder Woman, I love, you know, everyone loved Wonder Woman. Suicide Squad, or, you know, Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad, the soft reboot that they're putting out, that's a movie I'm kind of fucking interested in. Shit, hold on, I had, what's, you know, Matrix 4. Are you fucking kidding me? Suicide Squad. Okay, and that's just to name a few. And then I'll let you speak in a second. But I'm just, you know, I know what you're gonna say. I'm just saying is, you know, dude, I'm about 2 seconds away from plunking on my $12 a month, because think about it. If they release 21 movies in 2021, and, you know, a bunch of those movies I was going to pay anyway, my single ticket would have been $12 alone. And not to mention all the other things available on HBO Max. And then trust me, I'm not fucking getting endorsed by, you know, they're not giving me a fucking dime. But I'm saying I'm a DC fanboy. You know, why not? and I acquiesce the floor to you, sir.
Okay, so no, so all right, so let's.
And I understand your bias.
No. Let me go kind of back to them here. So, basically, so what's been going on in the background, which is something I can talk about because it's out there in public knowledge. So nothing that I'm saying is something that people know about. You know, AMC and Cinemark have signed deals for Wonder Woman. Now, here's the funny part. As the ink is drying on these contracts, because obviously Wonder Woman's going to be on HBO Max and in the theaters on the same day here in the United States, because it's not overseas. Basically, what happened is that they didn't tell anybody that this was going to happen. They didn't tell the movie theater companies. They didn't tell the directors. They didn't tell other movie film companies like Legendary that this was coming. Because apparently in the background, there was this rumor that Godzilla versus... Is it King Kong versus Godzilla?
I think it's
or the
Godzilla
other way?
versus
I don't
King
remember.
Kong.
Yeah, I can't remember what the name, but whatever. That was going to get sold to Netflix. A shitload of money.
I think Netflix was looking to buy it. I don't know if they did.
Right. And basically what happened was Warner Brothers shut that down. It's going to HBO Max. Legendary's pissed because, okay, so you're going to go and put it on HBO Max. First of all, you didn't tell us. Second of all, you're going to go put it on HBO Max, but then not tell us that you're going to put it on HBO Max before you make an announcement. So the first problem that came up, Chris, was that, and this is all public knowledge. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell Christopher Nolan. They didn't tell the actors. They didn't tell anybody that's involved in these 20 movies that this is going to happen. They just went, fuck it, we're going to put it on HBO Max. Now, what's the reason for them doing it? Here's the problem. So right now, HBO Max only has 8 million active users. Now you may say, well, that's a lot of people. No. Hulu has 36. 36 active. Disney has about 60 to 70 users. And then Netflix obviously has what it has. So HBO Max right now is not doing well. So when you hear like somebody in articles say, okay, they're just trying to, like Nolan was saying, like, they're trying to prop up crappy service. He's not. It's true. It's true. And here's the other problem.
Because I wasn't getting HBO Max before this. I'm go on.
Right, and I'm gonna get to the other half of this too. So here's the thing: HBO Max is not on road, which is hurting it. So basically what happened is that they decided that, we need to do something to get people to the service. So it's been all about HBO Max. If you watch TNT, actually all the Turner channels, well, it's all Warner Media now, but whatever. TNT, TBS, they all had things up for a free subscription to HBO Max. Why? Because they're ramming this down people's throats. Because here's the other thing that you don't know about, is that HBO Go has more active subscribers than HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here's the thing, you can switch over free to HBO Max if you're an HBO Go member. So there's been this really bad messaging. I mean, I'm sure you saw, like, they're thinking of changing the name of HBO Max to something else.
Yeah. Just in all fairness, HBO Go was the place before I think even before Netflix was a thing. HBO Go was the place to go for fucking Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones built that streaming app.
And the other thing is people don't want to go to another streaming service. They just want HBO. So, you know what I mean? So that's, you got to understand that people see that, they're like, so they need to, first of all, figure that out to get people to go over there. Second of all, they need to get Roku. If they don't get Roku, and even PS5, I don't think it's on PS5 yet, but if they don't get that, we're going to kind of be screwed.
And unfortunately,
you know what I mean?
The DC Universe app never came to fucking PS4, and that bothered me.
And so the other thing that you got to take into consideration here is the catalog in HBO Max doesn't stay. So, like Disney Plus, for example, nothing fucking moves from Disney Plus. Everything that's in the Disney library is on Disney Plus, unless, obviously, there's some Fox show, rated R, that we're talking about before the podcast. They're still trying to figure that out. It's that whole thing, and we could go into that, but we're not going to, about Disney and Hulu eventually connecting into one service. I don't think they should do that because they can put their adult content on Hulu. Why not just keep it separate?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's another conversation. But that's kind of what HBO Max isn't doing. They're not leaving their stuff on. Like, some movies and shows come in and out of HBO Max. Like, when I had the free 2 months of HBO Max, when I was reviewing it, they didn't even have the Batman movies on. And there wasn't a lot of the DC live action category wasn't even on there, Chris. So for you'd go on there and you look at it and be like, what the hell is going on here? You know what I mean? Like, so, okay, other than the movies that are coming, is it really worth it? No, it's not worth it. And that's the problem, is they're trying to bring people to a service that's not even worth the $12 that you would spend a month. So it's one of those things where you got to kind of balance it. And then you got to keep in mind here that there's also another thing that they're talking about, doing a different HBO Max, like how Hulu is, where they have an ad-supported service. So that's the thought process of why they're bringing in these movies, to not only attract more people to the service, but because if they are doing an ad service, which it seems like they might be doing, then, they're going to make, they may make a shit ton of money off of ads. Problem is now you have Legendary, like that film company that made a movie with Warner Brothers for Godzilla versus King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, we want our money. They already sent letters. There's other people that are probably sending legal papers to them. They didn't learn the lesson from Universal and Trolls, where those actors that did the voices went to Universal and went, how are we getting paid? You know what I mean? So it's not that this isn't like a move or an intelligent move. It wasn't an intelligent move because they didn't alert people. So the communication sucked. If they would have communicated, Chris, there wouldn't have been any problems. Now, I realize there's a COVID crisis. So if you look at the 21 movies, and this will be the last thing that I say about this because a lot, I wanted to just talk about all of this so you guys get the full information about it. Out of those 21 movies, there's maybe 2 or 3 that are, let's be honest. Suicide Squad, Dune may do well. There was something else. I don't think
The Matrix.
People may disagree with Matrix, I think. So 3 movies out of the 21 would probably do well. The Godzilla vs. King Kong, that would do modest okay. Mortal Kombat will probably just do okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like these, like most of these movies are quote unquote good. They're not. It's just, it's people like Disney's looking at Warner Brothers going, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because not even Disney's that stupid. They want to make their money. So they're going to put it in the theaters and they're going to make their money. Now, what you're going to see, and I believe even once the pandemic all you're going to see this is these movie studios are going to start putting movies onto streaming, video on demand quicker. But I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. After 2 weeks, if a movie hasn't done anything in the theater, get rid of it. I don't want it in my theater. Like, make space for something else. I'd rather have 5 prints of Wonder Woman than 1 print of some movie that nobody wants to watch. You know, and let's do the Amazon Prime, the Amazon model. I don't know if you knew this, and I'm sure I've talked about this a couple times in the podcast. But what Amazon has done with some of their movies is they've gone to movie theaters and they've made deals and they've said, look, listen, we want to put insert name movie onto in the theaters for 2 weeks. This is how much you get for it, and then it's going to go on our streaming. It comes out of your theater. It's worked out good for them because they make money, and then the theaters make more money off of that deal probably as well. Because, see, that's the thing that people don't realize is behind the scenes, there are movies that movie theaters will play where you're sitting there scratching your head going, what the fuck are you playing this movie for? They're getting paid more money to play that movie than to not play it. So, you know, you're going to start to see a lot more of this stuff happening. And, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but, you know, the one good thing that I can see coming out of this, Chris, is the movie theaters actually being able to lower their admission prices. That's what I'm hoping. Because you got to realize something. A lot of people know this. The admission prices are so high not because the movie theaters want to make money. Because you got to really understand something. Movie theaters don't make a lot of money off of ticket prices, off of tickets. They make their money at the concession stand. So what I'm saying to it is movie theater can go back down to like when I first started working, where like a matinee was like what $4 or $5, and then an evening was like $7. Like more people would go to the theater.
Mm-hmm. And you know, and they're gonna need to do shit like that in the beginning to get public's
so like
trust
all these
back.
Warner movies that are going in, all these Warner movies that are going in the theaters, they're not going to be at full price. Mm-hmm. If people think that it's going to be full price, you're kidding yourself because it's not at all. It's going to be cheaper than what you would normally pay for a movie, because guess what? Movie theaters aren't going to play this movie unless there's a deal in place. Cinemark and AMC are not playing Wonder Woman because they're going to play Wonder Woman. There's a deal in place. They're making more money off of it than they would, and that's why they're playing. You know, the interesting part will be to see how well Wonder Woman does in theaters, even though it's going to be on Max. And I do think that it might do better in theaters just because Max isn't on Roku. Now, I said this the other day. They could be very close to a Roku, where just before Wonder Woman comes out, HBO Max is on Roku. Same thing with all these 21 movies that are going to be coming on to HBO Max. They could have the deal done before, you know, you get to that point. So, I don't know. I have no idea. But if they do, great. It's going to be wonderful for the service. If they don't, well, then why did you put the movies on the streaming service? You know? So, I mean, I kind of went on about a lot of things, but you can understand there's a logical point of view from this, why people are sitting there scratching their heads going, this doesn't make any sense. And, you know, mind you, Warner Brothers doesn't film. Disney does. Disney puts out probably about 60 to 70% of the film product that's out there right now. So I'm expecting Disney on Thursday this week, which today's the 8th, obviously. So I expect them to say that they're going to put movies in movie theaters, obviously, other than the ones that were already going to go straight to Disney Plus because they were only made for Disney Plus. So, you know, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting thing to see. If Disney doesn't go the way that Warner Brothers is going, and I think that's what's going to happen, nobody else is really going to do that. And you know, Universal's kind of like Warner Brothers. They're just Universal has always tried to want to put things on video on demand when it's in theaters. They just got the opportunity to make that kind of thing happen. And while like these movie theater companies are going, okay, we'll try to make deals with you, here's the thing. Do we realistically think that if a Fast and the Furious movie is doing millions of dollars in the theaters, they're going to pull it out and put it on video on demand after 4 weeks and it's still killing box office? No. They're going to keep it in the movie theater as long as they can to make their money back.
Yeah. And
I mean,
like we were talking about like things being a special, things being like going to the movies is special, and now you mentioned earlier Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is an auteur. So he's a movie maker, but he's a guy, and especially those of us who live in Rochester, and so much of Rochester used to rely on the soul of Kodak. Christopher Nolan and J.J. Abrams and a couple other big heavy duty people in Hollywood insist on keeping film as their primary media, especially when making film.
Well, it's the reason why all that film from Kodak, in a couple years ago, because it's, as a filmmaker, they like to actually do these movies on film and then translate it into digital, because it's a lot better.
I'm saying, Christopher Nolan specifically, I think every movie he's done in the past 12 years, if not more, has had scenes filmed with the IMAX cameras. He makes movies to be shown in fucking IMAX. And, are his movies...
Oh, yeah, then that's probably...
Yeah, exactly. It's he goes, I busted my ass... the IMAX... there's 6 IMAX cameras in the world. I could be wrong about that, but, I think there's something there's only 6 cameras in the world that can film in IMAX capacity. He breaks his ass...
There's a lot out there.
He breaks his ass to get them. I'm pretty sure that's, you got to move fucking mountains to get shit like that. His movies have literally, when you watch The Dark Knight, the scenes that are in IMAX, the screen literally changes shape. One shot, it's 3x4 or whatever the usual proportions are, and then the IMAX goes to their funky transitions, and it happens so fast that sometimes you don't notice it. But it's a guy like Christopher Nolan's I busted my fucking ass to make this movie as beautiful and as huge as a movie is supposed to be, and you dare fucking now you're gonna shove it on someone's fucking iPhone, you're gonna shove it on someone's fucking bullshit 32-inch fucking flat screen. So a guy like him, and hopefully his name carries weight, and especially that Tenet, there was so much pressure on him this year. Tenet was supposed to be the movie that saved the fucking industry, and unfortunately he didn't make the movie with that intent. He didn't say, oh, Tenet's gonna be, he made that movie not knowing that he's gonna fucking come out during a global fucking pandemic. So you take a guy like Chris Nolan, who's sort of who's such a champion for IMAX, big fucking, every movie is a spectacle, and you have needed experience. And let me tell you, what was it last year? No, it was around this time last year, going to see The Rise of Skywalker, and they had played and I saw The Rise of Skywalker in the IMAX. Sorry, don't be mad at me. And they had played 5 minutes of Tenet in IMAX, and it was holy shit. It was 5 minutes and the fucking drums were playing and all this crazy fucking action's going on. And after those 5 minutes, I felt dizzy. And I love giant screens. I'm not a fucking pussy. I'm not, I get motion. I love that feeling. I love that. But after watching that 5 minute segment of Tenet that they played before the movie, I think it was 5 or 7 minutes, I was my fucking heart was racing. So I kind of get where he comes from, where he's I'm going to break my ass. And then of course there's some people that, hey, take your fucking paycheck and fuck up, but I mean, I get where he comes from. If you painted a painting, 100 feet by 150 feet, and then, someone shrinks it down to the size of a pamphlet and hands it out, I mean, yeah, they may pay you for, thank you, we're going to make pamphlets out of it, but you're I broke my fucking ass painting this painting for you to fucking make it something, someone could put in their pocket. Fuck you. So, I get where he comes from, and especially all these movies, these are the blockbuster movies. That's why Hollywood is turned into, there's the big giant tent poles, and then you got the couple babies who sneak in under an independent one like that. But, the studios live, eat, and breathe off those giant tentpole Star Wars, Marvel, James Cameron, Christopher Nolan, giant fucking movie. And, like I said, I played devil's advocate because I'm a customer. I sit at my ass. I don't want to go outside. As much as I loved going to movie theaters, I like going to the movies. I'm still at a point where I'm too fucking chicken shit to fucking go out to a theater. It sounds a hell of a lot convenient for me to say, oh, I'm paying $15 a month and I'm getting 21 movies. Sounds like a good fucking deal. But, I see what you're saying, but then again, once again, Christopher Nolan wants me to see Tenet at the IMAX theater, not on my bullshit 32-inch TV. So.
Well, yeah, there's no IMAX yet, so not IMAX theater, IMAX TV yet, so I'm sure eventually that'll end up showing.
Yeah,
up
I mean everyone's everyone 4K, and it's like you don't need I don't know Tenet makes sense in 4K, not fucking I don't know, not you don't need Clerks in 4K.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Right now, Warner Brothers looks like an idiot. So we'll see what Disney comes up with here in the next couple days.
The whole world is...
I have a feeling that they're going to end up releasing all their stuff, and I appreciate them, especially since I waited.
Yeah, it's showing that people are getting... They're getting antsy. People are getting like, what do we do? What do we do? Give them all the fucking movies.
Well, no, I think, you got to look at it from two perspectives. Number one, how are you going to make the most money? Mm-hmm. And if you're not going to make any money, does it make sense?
Don't make dollars. It don't make sense. Now, go on.
I mean, here's the funny thing, Chris. Like a Wonder Woman, for example. Yeah, you're paying $11.99 for HBO Max. And yeah, that's the convenience of being home. But what happens if like, say, AMC or Cinemark charge $5 for that? And by the way, we're not even including the small little fish in the sea. They're not making these special deals, and they have to charge whatever they can to survive. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a shitty time for movies. I'm sure what's going to tell the tale, and this is something that's been told to me, is that by, at the beginning of summer, the summertime next year, 2021, summer 2021, is going to show how movie theaters are going to, because there's a shit ton of new movies. So if, we do really well, great. It's just going to be awesome. But if it doesn't do well, then that's when studios may go, rethink this.
There may be that industry shift. I mean, this may be the thing that like just has people say, you know what, theaters, we had a good run. Rest in peace.
I don't think we're there yet, because here's the thing. I think what's going to happen, Chris, is it's going to be for the minor movies, the ones that I was talking about, like you have them in theaters for 2 weeks and it hasn't done anything. Those are the type of movies that should go to VOD, the Netflix. Like, it should go to video on demand, try to make some more money, and then straight on a streaming service, because it's not going to make any money. But like, the big Marvel movies, the big DC movies, the big movies that are going to generate the money, the big kids movies, like, yeah, those need to be in theaters, because you're going to make your money back and more. And when you're making millions and billions in the theaters, and then making billions and millions and billions on DVD, streaming, and Blu-ray/DVD sales, why would you get rid of that one, revenue stream? It just doesn't make sense.
All right. So before we have another big story to talk about. But before we talk about great news, let's talk about some sad news. We lost 2 fucking villains in like a week. We lost David Prowse. I mean, of course, look, in this fucking day and age, we're losing lots of people every day. But you take a movie like Star Wars, cultural fucking touchstone as Star Wars. Darth Vader. Like, can you get any more iconic of a bad guy in movies? I can't. If you say top 5 bad guys, top 3 bad guys in movies since the first film ever, Darth Vader is always going to be top 3. Of course, there was, you take the mask into effect, you take into the fact, James Earl Jones did, a very, very powerful voice, but let's not forget, the mountain of a man, Mr. David Prowse behind, and it's funny because, there is that. It's funny, but it's not really funny. But that David Prowse didn't know that someone else was going to be doing the voice of Darth Vader. When they're filming the scenes, here's a guy who he thought, okay, I'm going to do the lines wearing the fucking helmet, and then when the movie stops filming or whatever, I'm going to probably go to a recording studio and they're going to re-record my voice. Unfortunately, that never happened, and he kind of got fucked out of that. He got fucked on that deal. From what I understand, there was also his original contract was one of those where like, oh, we're going to pay you after there's actors that get paid like after points, or I always forget how it works, but it's like it's the one that's always bad for actors, where it's like, oh yeah, you'll get the profit of what's left over, and it's never anything that's left over. You know what I'm saying? After you pay unions and you pay 1,000 people who worked and all the model makers and all the sound people and all the extras, and there's no such thing as leftover money. I mean, he eventually got money later on, but his original contract they fucked him out of. Once again, this was a movie where people thought Star Wars was just going to be one movie. The general public did not know. George Lucas might have had his plan, but the general public thought, this was just going to be a regular movie, one just weird sci-fi movie. But when you see like Darth Vader, when he clenches his fist and he punches it forward, or he sticks his finger in Princess Leia's face and stuff like that, that was acting. David Prowse, and of course, yes, he was speaking while he was doing the role. It wasn't like he was fucking, pantomiming. He wasn't miming Darth Vader, but his acting came through, and it was, of course, it was helped and elevated by James Earl Jones' voice. But we forget that there was this fucking big fucking dude, and I just learned something recently that when Christopher Reeve was planning to play Superman, or when they hired him to play Superman, that it was David Prowse who had was his gym instructor, his trainer, and of course, Dave Prowse also had a role in A Clockwork Orange. He's the big muscular guy that carries the creepy old dude around. And so, he was able to, he played Darth Vader in those, and then the fucked up part, and then by the time they get to Return of the Jedi, and they finally take the mask off Darth Vader, they get yet another actor. They didn't even show David Prowse's face. So, he's part of a legacy, and he kind of got fucked over a lot. And unfortunately, when people say Darth Vader, not many people know the name David. And this is once again what we were talking about earlier, one thing that fucking makes this year even more fucked up. He died for COVID-related issues. I mean, he was an 85-year-old man, or in his 80s or whatever. I mean, it was in complications due to COVID. But, Darth Vader, who was a walking ventilator, the iconic, a guy died, the actor who played him died because he couldn't fucking breathe, which is a terrible, terrible, terrible fucking irony, but, it is what it is. But then again, by the time you get to 85, you've lived a good chunk of your life, generations of people know your work, your legacy lives on way past your actual life. He's accomplished a lot. He should have had a bigger piece of the pie, but he wasn't exactly starving either. And the other one, and the whole thing is, I'm not very familiar with this gentleman's work other than his two Mad Max movies. Hugh Keys Byrne, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's the guy who played Immortan Joe in Mad Max Fury Road. And if you want to remember even to the first Mad Max movie, he was Toe Cutter. So from what I understand, a really nice guy, kind of kooky, very odd. And that's the whole reason George Miller, the director, loved him so much, because he was such a weird fucking dude. And, to play Immortan Joe, which, right before Donald Trump becomes president, you have this guy who's he's a big fat guy, but they put him in a girdle, and they give him this, waspy blonde hair, and he's telling people, the people in the desert, don't get used to water. And not that Donald Trump ever said anything like that, but it's, Donald Trump, preparing poor people to don't ask for anything more than what we give you. He played Donald Trump before Donald Trump played Donald Trump. And so, that performance, and Toe Cutter was pretty fucking interesting also. I mean, from the original Mad Max movie. I'm more of a fan of Fury Road than I am of Mad Max. So we lost two villains this year, this week. In a week, two iconic fucking villains are gone, and it happens, and they had obviously incredible careers. But to Darth Vader and Immortan Joe, rest in peace. All right, and so let's get to this big story, Paul. You with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. I just have it.
Okay. Spider-Man 3. And as we're recording, I'm sort of I'm also just kind of browsing Twitter.
I get my Spider-Man.
Yeah, and you and I.
Well, it's not a done deal yet, but it's almost.
Yeah, done. I mean, you and I, pretty much have said this 1,000 times, and we both love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, in particular in Spider-Man 2. As we're recording this, they're saying Alfred Molina has signed on. That layered on top of the rumor that they got, oh my God, what's his who played Electro? Jamie Foxx. And now we're starting to see more and more rumors, and I guess technically right now it's still technically a rumor of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Well, so apparently I guess it might, maybe, you know what, it might be announced at the December 10th meeting that I was talking about. But so Spider-Man, so basically it's going to be, if the deal goes through, well, I guess Andrew Garfield already signed. Kirsten Dunst already signed. Obviously, we have Dr. Octavius. What's his name?
Albert Molina.
So he signed. So now we have Dr. Octavius. We have Electro.
It's a
we have
a weird version of the Sinister Six.
Yeah, James Jonah Jameson. We have him back. And, so it's looking like this is going the Spider-Verse.
I think Disney saw what the Spider-Verse did. Because, let's keep in mind, Sony still had Spider-Man for Spider-Verse. And, there's so many iterations of Spider-Man. And let's not even mention, and dude, I want to play fucking Miles Morales. I want to play Spider-Man Miles Morales so fucking bad. Like right now I'm barely fucking making my ends meet. And I'm like, part of me is like, I could go without eating for a week and just fucking play some Spider-Man. I want to play Miles Morales. Because the first Spider-Man game was good. It was great.
I was thinking about getting that for my kid because we do have a PS4 here, but I was just like, well, he just got a Nintendo Switch, so he's all about the Nintendo Switch. And, he's just all about... He's still about playing stuff on PS3, and which is great. And then he's all about playing his. Remember they brought out the Super Nintendo that had a bunch of games loaded on it.
Oh yeah. The classic SNES classic.
Yeah. So the Super Nintendo Classic. So he plays that from time to time too, and I'm just like, well, hey, this kid has it made. He's happy with everything he has. So
and I've yet to hear a bad review of Miles Morales. Just saying. Or you know what? Maybe get a feel for it. Buy a used copy of Spider-Man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, boys don't give a shit about stuff like that. Like if it's used or not.
Well, that's the thing. Like the PS3 is still supported, so why not buy these games at a cheap price? People, dude, he's going online on the PS3. People are still playing some of these games. So it's like, why wouldn't you play it still? People are still playing.
Yeah, my daughter has my old PlayStation 3 in her, and it's still, but she uses it for Minecraft.
Well, yeah, he plays Minecraft too. He plays Minecraft on PS3.
And there's a community there. She doesn't. Not that I haven't let her. She goes, I wanted to ask you, but I was scared to ask. I haven't officially said yes, but she does download worlds and stuff like that. So yeah, and and once again, the fucking PlayStation 3 came out 2006? That came out, and 14 years later, it still works. The PlayStation Network is still up, and she could still download worlds for Minecraft. Minecraft, the game that came out in 2010. So yeah, I mean, I get it. Yeah, my daughter has the PlayStation 3 in her. Like I said, to download worlds, I'm not comfortable with her yet chatting with people. But yeah, it's no. But I'm just saying is if I could recommend for you something, buy a used copy of Spider-Man 4. Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4, because I could tell you that's a great fucking game. I enjoyed it, and I haven't even finished the DLC. I just I put the game down, and other things started happening. Life happens, and I wish I had the free time to just sit in front of a fucking PlayStation. And a part of me is like, instead of spending all that money on Miles Morales, let me finish the DLC. Then I'll start playing. But yeah, I mean, and once again, I've yet to hear. Okay, so here's a funny story. I've yet to hear of any kind of serious complaint about it, and I've watched a bunch of reviews about it online. The one thing is that it's still kind of glitchy. If you want to see some funny videos, I guess go on YouTube and look for Miles Morales glitch or Miles Morales glitches and whatever. So there was one scene where, and this has happened to a couple of people, where even though you're Spider-Man, it will take a model from something around you and put that in the position in the middle of the screen where Spider-Man is supposed to be. So there's these things that are called patio lamps or whatever. It's a patio heater, and it's this long tube, and it's a thing that people, they put like coal or oil in it, and it keeps your patio warm, like if you were having a picnic outside, but the sun's going down, it's not hot anymore. And so the kid's playing the game. He has the video of it. Because remember, the PlayStation 4 captures video. It captures your gameplay. So he's playing the game as the fucking as the patio lamp, and he's swinging through the fucking, but it's just the lamp going through the tunnels of New York, like the between the large buildings in New York and stuff like that. So that tweet got so many likes, it actually got to one of the brothers who put together, not the brothers, the Miller and the guys who made Into the Spider-Verse. And so the guy tweeted back. He goes, if I don't do anything else with my life, I'm getting a fucking patio lamp and Into the Spider-Verse too. So I mean, of those guys, I mean, I'm pretty sure it'll be like a one frame thing, or it'll be something just for the people who know about that tweet to kind of laugh about it. But I mean, so the only complaints that I've heard is that it's a little glitchy. I've seen scenes where there's a scene where it's like Miles Morales, and it's one of those, because it's one of those games that it uses the game engine for the cutscene. It doesn't go to a whole other fake video or whatever. And so and then one particular scene, he's being chased by the cops. And it's because it's, Spider-Man, cops, for whatever reason, the game don't like him. Then it goes into the cutscene. So it kind of glitches where he's standing right there, and the cop from the chase before it went into the cutscene goes right into fucking Miles Morales' face and points the gun right in his face. And and of course in today's climate, that's that image has a lot of fucking weight to it. But a total glitch. But like I said, the only complaints I've heard is that it's glitchy. And, you put up a couple more patches and shit like that, and they'll get that all fixed. But then, for the time being, the glitches are fucking fine. And then let me tell you, the first Spider-Man game had glitches in it also. And there was once or twice where I literally, and it's a little frustrating, but it was twice when I had the game where it got to the point where I just had to reset my PlayStation because whatever was going on was just, my character just he would get stuck in a corner and that motherfucker's not getting out, So, and it's pretty much the same, they just updated the engine, but it's the same, it's almost like Miles Morales is just this great big DLC for the original Spider-Man game. I could recommend that. So they're bringing in all these guys from the other iterations of Spider-Man for this to be a Spider-Verse movie. They've already had Donald Glover, who plays Miles Morales' uncle. He mentions his nephew in Spider-Man Homecoming. So, I wouldn't be surprised if, they use this movie to introduce Miles Morales, They
might just do that. We'll see.
It's Spider-Man is just, and then this was, because, there was Homecoming, Far From Home, so a lot of people are speculating what's the third movie going to be called, and so I saw someone on Twitter say, Home World. Home Worlds, Spider-Man Home Worlds, and it was, and once again, these are all just photoshopped images, and it was Doctor Strange, which once again was announced to be in a movie, walking through the portal, but the portal's on the side of a building where they're walking out, but when you walk out, your feet are on the glass of the building, and it's the three versions of Spider-Man with Doctor Strange, but the portal's sticking out the fucking out the side of a building. So. And once again, it's a fan-made poster, but it's pretty fucking cool.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what.
And Disney has plenty of time Disney has plenty of time to fucking get their and that movie has technically started shooting. Because they've had behind the scenes.
It has, but they haven't
behind the scenes.
But they haven't had the other actors yet, so we'll see what happens.
You do all the Marissa Tomei, Tom Holland stuff that we got to get out. Not to get out of the way, because I'd love watching. I like looking at Marissa Tomei. But what I'm saying is, you get all that. Get the boring stuff out of the way. The stuff in the apartment, walking down the street. The Peter and Aunt May shit that no one cares about. Then we could get to the Spider-Man stuff. All right, so let me just quick shoot a couple other things. Animaniacs on Hulu. The not reboot, I guess. Because to say reboot would sound like it's not, but the revival of the Animaniacs on Hulu is pretty good.
I would say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the first episode is like they say nostalgia like 8,000 times in the first episode, but they're doing it as the joke, that it's the only reason they're back is because of nostalgia. To the best of my knowledge, it's all the same voice actors who did it years ago, from the original, the people who did the show. Do keep in mind that it's literally just the Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. It's none of the other characters. There's no Slappy and no Good Feathers and Chicken Boo and none of that. It's literally just there's a joke about it, about why no other characters are there, without spoiling it. But yeah, it's just that, because there's a couple episodes in and I'm like, where the fuck aren't there supposed to be other characters other than just the Animaniacs? And then they address it. I dug it. I'm saying, once again, it's one of those things where I watched an episode a day. I enjoyed it. Alex Trebek passed away, and a couple of years back, I know the nerdcore the nerdcore community got pissed off when Alex Trebek, when a girl was saying that she was a fan of nerdcore music, and she goes, guys who live in their basements and watch Star Trek, and then Alex Trebek goes, losers, and fuck you, Alex Trebek, you're the fucking king of the fucking nerds, and you're gonna fucking call those people losers, and I kind of, even though the guy wasn't even fucking cold in the ground yet, I kind of brought up that video, and I'm like, remember, Alex, it's very easy to be confident when you have the fucking answers on the card right in front of you. I like Jeopardy, the show. I grew up watching Jeopardy with my dad, and it was very much a part of like our bonding and stuff like that. But I always disliked Alex Trebek because he always had a real fucking smarmy, smart-ass attitude, and and he loved correcting people. Oh no, you're meant to say south by south, it's not just southwest. And I'm like, asshole, yeah. And now, mind you, you've never seen Alex Trebek play Jeopardy. He was never a contestant on that show. And he goes, oh no, I would never play it. Saying, it's very easy to be smart and smug when you have the fucking answers in front of you on index cards. So, I feel bad that he died. I feel bad for his family and stuff like that. But, I like Jeopardy. I didn't necessarily like Alex. A buddy of mine has made a movie, and it is called Fatal Influence. It came out Friday the 13th of November. He wanted it to be out by Halloween, and I guess they couldn't get it out. But if you go to fatalinfluencethemovie.com, he gave me a screening code for it. I think I had to pay a couple bucks for it. It's an interesting movie. If you it harkens to a movie like the Blair Witch Project, where the people carried cameras around, and think about it, back in 1999, kids just filming themselves doing nothing. Well, who the fuck does that? Well, here we are 20 years later, and every kid has a fucking camera in their pocket, and every kid films themselves doing fucking nothing all day. So, pretty much the whole movie is filmed in a TikTok format, like as in if people were posting TikTok videos and stuff like that. But there is a horror element to the movie, and I don't want to spoil it too much. Him and I had a conversation. This is the first of a few movies that he has in mind, and he kind of he didn't tell me exactly what's going on, but he kind of gave me an idea on where the movies are going and stuff like that. So this is part one of at least a trilogy. I enjoyed it. I dug it. It's a very inclusive movie. There's like deaf characters and trans characters and a bunch of black characters and an Asian guy. I think he purposefully wanted to make a movie that had a lot of inclusion in it. Because it seems it's the right thing to do, and it's interesting to see a deaf character in a movie. And when we think about nowadays a deaf person, a lot of and there's a huge deaf community in Rochester, and this movie was filmed in Rochester. A lot of deaf people get by dealing with not deaf people by reading lips. Well, we live in a world where everybody's wearing a fucking mask now. So imagine if one of your primary ways of communicating with people has now been hampered. It's bad enough you're deaf, now you can't even see the fucking person's mouth. So, those deaf people are kind of, on top of all the other shit that's going on, have to deal with that. And like I said, if you watch the movie, there's certainly, I can say he threw it out there, the movie is trying its best to be inclusive, and and more people should follow that example. And I dug it, and so I say it's worth liking and sharing and telling your friends about the movie. And I just feel bad because we were so long in between episodes, but it's called Fatal Influence, the movie. And my last bit, Paul, have you seen that Dave Chappelle Unforgiven?
I have not.
Okay, so it's Dave Chappelle, and it's literally recorded like in the past month. And it's under the guise, I thought it was going to be a comedy act, and it's not. It's Dave Chappelle. And don't get me wrong, he's a funny guy, and he gets laughs out of it, but it's almost like it's an 18-minute speech, and it's him at a show. Now, I'm assuming that at the show, he probably did, his hour's worth of comedy or hour, and Dave Chappelle's the kind of guy that he's notorious for. He can go, in comedy clubs and stuff like that, like places that have no real strict rules about who gets on, who gets off. Like, he could be in a comedy club and he'll do 2 hours easy. And I've heard stories of him doing 4 hours. So my point being is that this whole bit is 18 minutes, but it's not a funny bit. It's not a comedy bit. So I'm assuming that the first hour and a half, I'm pretty sure the people who were there already had seen the comedy part, and now he's going to do this part that's called Unforgiven. And it was all about how a couple of weeks ago he was hosting Saturday Night Live, and how both Netflix and I want to say Hulu, excuse me, it was definitely Netflix and some other streaming site. Oh no, okay, strike that. I was saying it was because his show, the Chappelle Show, his 2003 show, Chappelle Show, was already playing on this site called Pluto. And, I don't know how savvy other people out there, it's a free streaming site. So if you're broke, if you have enough money to have streaming internet, but not enough money to pay for Netflix or Hulu, there is Pluto. I watch it a lot. It's it's like we mentioned earlier about just putting on background noise TV just to have it's on demand. You can watch stuff on demand, but it's set up more like streaming channel. And the funny thing is like a channel, like a Comedy Central has like 5 channels because they'll have a whole channel dedicated to the Chappelle Show, and they'll have a whole channel dedicated to At Midnight, and they'll have a whole channel dedicated to Crank Yankers, and it just goes, all the shows just play on a loop over and over and over again, and so. But he had mentioned that Netflix all of a sudden bought the rights to Chappelle Show, or Netflix Netflix acquired Chappelle Show from Comedy Central, or just the streaming rights. So Netflix normally does. And he had mentioned something to the effect of that he does his comedy specials with Netflix, and they've always been good to him. I want to say it was there was some other streaming service that was playing it other than Netflix, and he had said that a lot of people want Dave Chappelle to come back to do TV again, and he had went to the streamers. Let's just say it was HBO Max or whatever, and HBO Max said, "No, we don't want you. Like, we're not gonna, we thank you for your pitch. Have a nice day." But then, like, HBO Max then goes and puts on the 2003 Chappelle Show. And because of whatever deal, and he goes, he already sold his soul to the devil. He sold his soul to Comedy Central. Like those episodes, and reminds me of like the stuff that happened with Megas XLR. And it's funny because they both came out pretty much at the same time. These contracts are made without understanding how big the internet was going to be in a couple of years. He has no actual claim for any kind of future internet. So Comedy Central could do whatever the fuck they want with Chappelle Show, and he has no claim, and he doesn't get a fucking penny. And some would say that's the price you pay for selling your soul to the devil. And so he goes, well, I went to Netflix, and he goes, and I've been working for Netflix for years, and I don't know if you know the rumors, but Dave Chappelle makes like, $70 million fucking doing his Chappelle comedy special at Netflix. And like Netflix goes, oh, you have a problem with it? We'll take it off right now. And they took it off. And I guess like it was like HBO Max that was sort of like, well, fuck you. And he's like, well, let me get this straight. I came to you for a new show. You don't want it, but you want my old show. And so so once again, he's telling this in long form, 18 minutes long. And he tells people, he goes, I want you to boycott the Chappelle Show. And he's the guy who made the show, and it's his baby, and that's what made him fucking famous. And he goes, I'm not getting a dime from that show anywhere anytime you see it from this point on. And if you like me and you want to support me and you want me to fucking keep doing what I'm doing, every time you see the Chappelle Show, watch a different show. You see it and don't watch it. And it was a very, very bold and interesting thing. Like I said, it was called Unforgiven. And once again, it wasn't necessarily funny. I would have hated it if I fucking paid money and all I got is a 20-minute fucking speech on not to watch Chappelle Show on Netflix. But it was pretty fucking interesting. And and once again, with all these streaming services, this is why I still have DVDs. I still have Chappelle Show season 1 and season 2, the box sets. So, I could watch them whenever the fuck I like. Netflix can't take it away from me. David Chappelle can't take it away from me. It just comes down to me not having a DVD player, which I'll always have some sort of around. Anything else you want to add before we close up?
No, I'm good.
Let's wrap this up. That's what she said. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.com and .net where you can find all things show related. You can find links to our iTunes page. You can find iTunes if you have iPhone, iPad, iPod. You can download it to listen to them anywhere and everywhere. I do all my listening on the Stitcher app. If you don't have an iPhone, iPad, iPod, on the Stitcher app, that's STITCHER, the Stitcher app for Android devices. I say Android devices. It's actually for all fucking devices, but that's where I listen to. That's the funny thing. Like right now, Spotify does that thing where it takes all the music you listened to in the past year. It kind of gives you a breakdown, and then it says like, you've listened to 2 podcasts this whole year, and it's like, motherfucker, I listen to tons of podcasts, but I don't listen to them on Spotify. I like Spotify. They're the home of Joe Rogan, so I kind of have to listen to them on. But then again, I usually end up when I do listen to Joe Rogan, I usually just wait till I watch it on YouTube. So it was so funny to see like you've listened to 80,000 hours worth of music and 2 podcasts. But Stitcher is my go-to. I have their app on the phone. The app is a little laggy. If I could fucking reach out to the Stitcher people, I would say, why is it when I turn on the app, it's like I push the button and once it loads up, it's responsive, but like you turn it on and like kind of staring at it, and I'm not exaggerating, for like 22 to 28 seconds, because I sit there and I count because I got nothing else better to do while I'm sitting on the toilet taking a shit. So I listen to my podcasts on the Stitcher app, STITCHER. But if you want to go directly to the source, you can find us on SoundCloud. You can download the episodes directly off of SoundCloud. So for whatever reason you still have an iPod from 2008 and you want to download your podcast individually and put them on a device, you can do so. Just go to SoundCloud, search for Two Strangers One Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Two Strangers One Podcast. All spelled out. And we want your money. We need your money. But until I set up a Patreon, which is one of those things that is probably, I don't know, ever going to happen because we could barely get episodes out. But if I could set up a Patreon, but until we set that up Patreon, it takes 2 seconds to like and share this episode. It takes 2 seconds to like and share our page on your page. These are good guys. I'm gonna fucking give them a shot. Hey, check these guys out. You could do so just by sharing and liking us on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Stranger Podcast. There isn't that much activity on the Twitter. It's pretty much just whenever we drop episodes. You can write to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. Unfortunately, with 2020 being the way it is, I don't know where the hell Oscar's at. Oscar fucking fell off the earth. Because when did we have? Did we have the Strangers thing this year? Was our anniversary this year? Or had all you guys in the library? It feels like fucking a million years ago.
No, it was
It was last year? Yeah, it probably was because the anniversary is 420 and we were well into the fucking, it was like end of March when things started to really lock down. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Oscar's fallen off the fucking face of the earth, so we haven't heard from Superfan Oscar. But if you want to write to us and give us any feedback, you can reach out to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. I'm looking at right now, and it's all these like, oh, would you like to monetize your podcast? Would you like to sign off your fucking soul? See, that's all this shit. And this is exactly what fucking Dave Chappelle says. What happened to him? Yeah, sure. Sign your podcast over to us, and we'll make 30 cents off of it and give you a nickel. Hey, nickel's a nickel. Let's see. And you can go to YouTube, and any videos, any episodes that are not on SoundCloud, you can find it on YouTube, and you can find my songs on YouTube. You can find my audiobook on YouTube. Like I said, I have like 3 albums worth of music. My audiobook, Odd I See a Tale from Road, is on there. You can buy my book, doublejackpot at lulu.com, but you'll hear that commercial in a second.
Basically, he just wants you to buy his book.
That's part of the whole reason this whole podcast started, was to make a podcast so like people like hear me and want to buy my book. I'm working on some other projects, something that's very close to it's not for release, but it's beyond the book, but I'm working on other things right now that are fucking super duper cool. As much as I love this podcast, there's other, you can love your other babies. And, I did the music for a little while and I really enjoyed the music, and one day I'll go back to that. But I'm doing other stuff now and it's pretty fucking cool. So, I think with that, I acquiesce the floor to you, sir.
All right, now that Chris is done talking about himself, you can find me on Twitter at Paul Pascrillo. You can email me, paulpascrillo@toonamifaithful.com. You can hear me on the Toonami Faithful podcast. That's available on every single podcast app there is. I made sure of that. So, by the way, we are on Spotify. I don't know if Chris mentioned that.
That's right, yeah.
So you can find the Toonami Faithful podcast on every single app as well. So please do listen to me there. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, we certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening and had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Don't be a stranger. Wait, I messed that up.
Wow,
right.
You messed that up.
Okay. We certainly hope you guys had as much fun listening as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
Paul.
Peace. Wait, who says peace? Oh my God, you said, how could I fuck that up? Okay, take 3.
Wow.
Wow, I'm out of it also. We certainly hope you guys had as much fun listening as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace.
Bye. You should be fapping, especially in this pandemic. Clearly. No, that was better to do, but
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled C-O-L-O-N.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Fucking, are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea,
yeah,
man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lgbt LULU.com.
That's Lulu.com.
I understand that. I just wanted to spell it out.
Normally one says it that spells it. Still, Lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15 and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his comic books, heavy metal, video games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right now.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.